Is there anybody in this room today that wants to make a massive amount of money this year? Put up your hands. Okay, great. Is there anybody in this room today that has RRSPs that aren't really performing the way that you would like them to? Put up your hands. Okay, great. We're going to hopefully change that for you today, so take some notes and pay attention. How are your RSPs performing? Only you really know that. So when those statements come in every month, make sure you look at them. Don't throw them in the drawer or on top of the table. You got to look through those things, see what your investments are doing, and keep really a close look on the fees that you're paying. So financial institutions, some of the things they basically offer are all the same. Mutual funds, ETFs, stocks, bonds, and GICs. There are more of these different accounts that you can invest in, but these are probably the most common, and most of the institutions use these. So are these working well for you? Like I said before, you're the only one that knows that, and you got to make up your mind if it's good enough for you or you want to maybe increase that. This is a graph of the Toronto Stock Exchange from April 2015 to January 2016. As we can see, that has made a steady decline, up and down a little bit, but steadily going down. January 2016, just a bit after that, it started making a bit of a rise, but I can't see that going up any too soon or not very fast in the near future. It might go up a little bit, but it's going to be steadily up and down. So remember, when you're talking to your financial advisors are trained by the financial institution that they're working for. Their number one loyalty is to the financial institution that they're working for. They need to make them money, and as well they're trying to make you money too, but they're trying to make the most amount of money they can for their financial institutions because, of course, they're the ones that are paying their paychecks. They're working with you in one sense, but they're working for the company that's paying them. So don't ever forget that. When you get your statements in every month, make sure that you look at your fees. There's fees, upfront fees, middle fees, back-end fees, fees to put money in, fees to put money out. Like, there's just fees on top of fees. Make sure that you really know where your money is going, and if there's something on there that you don't understand or a fee that's not totally marked for what it is, call them up and find out what it was for. Because don't forget, you can actually lose money in your investment and they're getting all their fees that they need to, and in the end they're still getting paid and they're making their profit whether your profit goes up or goes down. So this is how a typical RRSP works. You go in, you make an appointment to meet an advisor. You go in, you meet your advisor, you talk to him for a bit. They'll set up an RRSP account. They show you some of the products that they handle. And they're only trained in the products that that company that you're dealing with handles. They don't know all the investments that there are to put money into, but they're just using the ones that their company handles. So they're going to show you a couple of the better ones. They're not going to obviously show you some that are losing money, but they need to handle and put money into all the accounts they have. So you hand over your RRSP to them after you've signed the papers, and at this point now you have no control of your RRSP. It's up to them to put it into where they feel is fit and the best thing for you to get the best returns on your money. And don't forget their best returns that they can make for their own company that they're working for. So this is basically a flow chart of how your money goes, you handing it over to the financial institution, and then they drop it into different accounts in different amounts, percentages, and as they see fit. Some make money, some maybe are breaking even, and there are some more than likely losing money, but they need to use all the accounts that they handle, so they just can't go and put all your money into one that's making the best amount of money. They don't want to do that. They tell you they're going to diversify and spread it out, so you win in some and you lose in some. So let's just say that you had $100,000 and you're going to give it to me to invest for you. So I put it someplace, somewhere. You don't really need to know where it is. You just need to know that I'm investing this for you. So time goes by, there's some expenses come up. So this expenses gets paid out of your account, and the investment is basically holding its own. It's not losing any money, and it goes along. So some more time goes by, and a few more expenses come up. You know, like lunches for me, or maybe some gas for my car, because actually I am looking after your investment for you. So you need to cover the expenses for that. And we go through some time, we come up to the end of the year, you get your year-end statement. You can see that the investment hasn't really gone up or down much. It's pretty much held its own. And then there's some expenses that's come out of that. So at the bottom of your investment, now you have $80,000. Is there anybody in this room that would like to do an investment with me like that? No? Okay, well, I'm glad to see that, because if you're using this model to do your investing, that's basically the same model that I just described to you. And you have no control over where any of the expenses go or where your investments are going. So this is the way it goes, and you know, it's not the best scenario as far as I'm concerned. We do things much differently the way we do it, and we don't use this model at all. So this is the way we do it. As a real estate investor, I'm looking for someone like you that has some money that wants to put it into something. So we find each other. I have a deal that I want to do, and so I show it to you, and we go over all the numbers, and it looks pretty good to you. So you end up, your money is already in an RRSP held in a trust company waiting for something to be done with it. So you notify the trust company, and then you give them all the information. They put it all down. They forward everything down to your lawyer. We go in, we sign all the papers, and then the money is in the end forwarded down to myself. So let's just say we're going to do a flip property. So I buy the property, I fix it all up, we list it, and in the end we sell the property. So on closing, my lawyer would in turn send the money back to the trust company with the interest that we agreed on, and everything goes back into your account, ready to do something else with. So all of this is done through what they call a self-directed account. So in a self-directed account, you get to manage what you want your money to go into. You can actually put it into mutual funds or bonds or whatever you want, but that's up to you and your choice to put it in or how much you want to put in. Or there's many other things now that you can put this into. You can do this mortgage on a project, or you can lend it to all different aspects. It opens up a whole new field of investing for you. So if you wanted to put it into a real estate project, you find a borrower. So how do I find a borrower? Coming to a meeting like this is a really good start. There's people here with money, there's people here looking for money with a project. There's just a whole range of different people here that just need to get together. That's called networking. So if you've never been to a meeting like this before, you want to network, you want to tell people what you want to do, what you're looking for, and just keep working around the room. There's basically three investment clubs in the city of Winnipeg. One of them is actually here, Truly Invested. If you need to know anything about their club, Ben is here. That's a local club. I belong to a club called Private Investment Club. That's with Sunil. It's the biggest club in Canada. Like, there's just endless contacts in that club because you're covering all across Canada. You don't need to just invest in Winnipeg. If there's a good investment somewhere else in one of the other provinces, you know, look at it for sure. So I totally recommend joining a large club like that too. I've belonged to that club for years. When I joined, I was actually in kind of a low spot in my life, and between Sunil and some of the other members in that club, they've totally turned my life around, and it's probably ended up being one of the best things that I've done in my whole life, was joining and hooking up with that club. So that's how you can find investors. You can, if you find someone like myself, or I have always looked for joint venture partners. I'm always looking for joint venture partners and money or deals. That's a huge part of my business. And if I am not looking for something right at that time, I totally know other people that are looking for stuff that have qualified deals, and they're always looking for money. Another way you can find people is if you meet up with a couple of mortgage brokers. Mortgage brokers are always looking for money to invest into projects, and you know, they're a good place to find other investors through. When you put a mortgage on the property, it's actually registered against the property, so it would be, say, a first mortgage on there. So it's on there as your security. You can invest also in small businesses, corporations, and non-conventional investments. There's just a whole range of places that you can put your money after you put it into a self-directed account. You can actually invest outside of the province, anywhere in Canada. You cannot invest in the United States. So if you were looking for that small place that you want to go for in Florida, that maybe you're going to spend a couple months there in the winter, you're out of luck on your RSPs. If that's something you're looking for, you want to talk to Sunil. He is huge into that. He can totally steer you the right way, or I know he's probably got a lot of properties that he can actually hook you up into. So this is all done as what they call an arm's length mortgage. An arm's length mortgage means you can't take the money out of the account yourself or anyone in your family. It has to be what they call an arm's length away, which is a non-relative or something that you're not initially connected with. So to do this, you move your RSPs to a trust company of your choice. I myself use Olympia Trust a lot. You look for investors that are looking for money. We've already talked about that. If possible, you can go, and if you're dealing with a local investor and you're here, definitely go and look at the property that you're going to be putting your money into, because you want to make sure you know where your money is going. We deal with a lot of people from Toronto, Calgary, Vancouver, whatever, and they don't really get a chance to come out sometimes and look at the property. They know my reputation, for example. They take my word for whatever I tell them it is, or actually some of them do fly out for a day and take a look at what they're putting their money into. So you want to make sure you really view the property, review the numbers. This is probably one of the most important things that you need to watch. Anybody can put down numbers on a piece of paper that are going to look like they work. You need to know that the person writing down the numbers knows what they're doing, they're credible, and they've had lots of experience in doing this, because the numbers are the whole thing. The whole thing revolves around what the numbers tell you. If the numbers don't work, you don't want to do the deal. You can't make the numbers work and then hope the deal works out, because it's just not going to happen. So make sure that someone's totally qualified. Like I said before, I've been doing this 45 years. I can basically walk through a house, look at all the rooms, run through my head what I need to do in this place, and by the time I go through the whole house and walk back out the front door, I can basically pretty much tell you're very, very, very close on what this is going to cost. So you really need to know what the numbers are telling you, and you need to know that the person giving you the numbers is totally knows what they're doing. Then if you get an acceptable deal, then you need to negotiate your deal with the person you're going to do it with. You have the option of making the interest rate what you want. You can make the length of term on time what you want. So this all works together, and it has to make sure that it's going to work within the deal, and you know, it's not going to take all the money out of the deal. It all has to work for everyone. And my philosophy is everybody needs to make money on the whole thing, otherwise it's not successful. So you make a deal, you make your terms, you got it all organized, so you contact your trust company again, give them all the information, they put it all together. So the financial institution where your RRSP stays is they put their name on the mortgage. So if I use Olympia Trust, when they make out the mortgage, it shows where Olympia Trust is holding the mortgage. They do that for your benefit. They make sure that everything's legal, and you are on the mortgage as a number, which is your account number. So it's your money in their name because they're holding your money. So your money is actually in there, but it's under Olympia Trust, and you're on there as an account number. So everything must go through a lawyer in the end. If you run into anybody that says, let's save some money and maybe we don't need to do this through a lawyer, you just tell them to hit the road jack, because you don't want to be doing anything like that. If it goes through a trust company, it has to go through a lawyer. There's no two ways about that. So make it legal and put it through your lawyer. So these are some of the basic financial institutions. Olympia Trust, one that I use a lot. Community Trust, Genworth Financial, just a few that offer self-directed accounts. You want to make sure they do arm's length mortgages. You might go back to your bank and say, I want a self-directed account. So they might say, oh, we've got those. So they say, okay, well that's good. But you can only self-direct those into the accounts and the products that they're handling. You can't put it into an arm's length mortgage. So you have to make sure that they do arm's length mortgages. That's one of the most important things. Because you don't want to just be able to pick on what they're putting it into, and you're basically putting it into the same thing that they were putting it into anyway. So I ran into a guy in Winnipeg, and he had to liquidate some properties. So this is one of the properties that I'm going to share with you, and it's actually an island in Lake of the Woods. Lake of the Woods is in northwestern Ontario, and Lake of the Woods is a huge lake. There's over 13,000 islands, 65,000 miles of shoreline. Great vacationing area, hunting, fishing. It's a very, very popular spot. But so as you can see, this needs some dock work, and the walkway is kind of caving in, and the boathouse is not that good a shape. The building on the left needs to be torn down, and there's actually another one on the left of that one that needs to be torn down. The cottage is up in here. It's a beautiful island. Doesn't matter which way you look out any window, it's a great view. So this is how this all works out. I'm trying to purchase this island right now for $200,000. We're looking at renovations of $50,000, so I need a total RRSP input of $250,000. When you do these RRSP mortgages, they will allow you to put in 100% cash to value. This means whatever they value the property at, you can actually put that much cash into it as a mortgage. So the city assessment says this property is worth $322,000. So I could actually put $322,000 mortgage onto this through an RSP. But myself, I don't do that. I make sure my investor has at least 20% below what the market value is. So I'm only looking for $250,000 to do this deal, and it's well below the 322. So if anything ever went wrong with the deal at all, the worst thing that can happen is the investor gets the property as being a first mortgage holder. So you want to make sure that you're not limited right out to a $322,000 investment into a $322,000 property, because you're going to end up losing money in the end. So at this, if you only had to sell this property for $250,000 to get your money back, it'd be no problem at all. The breakdown, so we're looking at a $200,000 purchase, the renovation's 50. I'm paying the investor 8% on his money for 12 months, which is 20,000. Closing and carrying is 20. Realtor fees are 20. So the cost of this whole project is 310. So the return on investment, the selling price I have at 350,000. I talked to a couple of realtors in the area. They told me they could sell that property for 350,000 with no problem. So we're using that number. Cost of the project is 310. So my potential profit is 40,000. So I made a deal with the investor to pay him 8% on his money, so he's making 20,000. If I would have made a deal, that would have been 10%. He would have been paid 25,000. If he would have left his money in his original investment at the bank or wherever he had it invested, and he made 1.5% for the same amount of time, he would have made $3,750. So I think you all can agree with me that this is totally a much better investment strategy. So the return on investments, I can only say what they are with me, because this is basically what's happening with myself. So my returns have been averaging 8 to 12%. They could be as low as 6, or I had one that turned out at 18%. Return on investment is basically your choice. You're the one that picks the interest rate and the length of time, so you have a lot of control over that. The borrower pays all the fees to get this all set up, so it doesn't cost you anything, and the mortgage is registered on title for your security. So is your RSP making the most for you? You know, think about it. You're the only one that really knows that. So then my race car thing comes up. I think it's the next one. So I just wanted to tell you that's basically the end of that presentation. I just wanted to share with you another experience that I had. The last time I was in Las Vegas, I took a NASCAR driving course and went to the Las Vegas Speedway, Richard Petty, and took his driving course. I was very thrill-seeking. If you're ever in Vegas, I totally recommend to go and try that. So if you're in the classroom and they're giving you all kinds of instructions on what to do, what if this happens, what if that happens, and one of the main things they really emphasize is if you ever lose control of the car, make sure you look straight down where you want the car to end up going, because don't look at the wall. If you look at the wall, you're going to end up in the wall. If you look at the infield, you're likely going to end up in the infield and hitting another car or somebody else. So they want you to totally focus on going straight down the track, get your car back on control, and just keep heading on around the track. So, you know, it's pretty thrilling and things are moving very fast. I think I was actually doing about 240 kilometers an hour. And there is an instructor in the car with you, and just in case something really goes wrong, then he can help you out. But when you're going around the track, there's a pylon on the right up next to the wall and a pylon on the infield on the left. You come up to the pylon on the right first, and you're supposed to slow down at that point to go around the corner, and when you hit the pylon on the left, you're supposed to speed up out of the corner. So we're coming along there and the instructor says, "Do you see the pylon?" I said, "You got to be joking. I'm just hanging on to that wheel and I'm looking straight ahead up, not looking at the wall or any pylons or anything. I'm just heading her straight. I want to stay right where I'm looking." So then he says, "Did you see the pylon on the left?" And I says, "No way." I says, "I'm just looking straight ahead." So, you know, I was just totally focused, and it's quite a thrill when you're running around there, because those guardrails are going by there so fast it looks like one big blur. So anyway, everything worked out great, had a great time, no accidents, didn't lose control of the car. So after I finished all that, I'm saying to my wife, you know, when you're really thinking about this, this totally reflects to your own life too. Not just driving this car and trying to keep control of the car. You want to keep control of your life. You want to look totally straight ahead. You want to be focused on where you're going to go, what you want to do, and see how your life is going to be the way you want it. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right, and there's no wall to hit, but there are things that you know, it's going to end up not well. You want to just stay focused, go straight, and do what you have to do to get to where you want to go, where your life is going to be the best. And so if you need, I took training to take this car to where I wanted it to go. If you need training or anything else to help you get to where you want to go, you know, I'm available. I'll help anybody out. It's one of my goals in my life is to just help people and not make the same crazy mistakes that I did, because I thought I knew it all before. And it's just so easy to get sidetracked and start looking to the left and looking to the right. So if there's anyone that needs training, advice, whatever you need, just get a hold of me, talk to me later or whatever. But you do need to focus to where you want to go, and don't be looking all over the place. Don't keep trying this, trying that. Do what everybody that's successful has done in the past, and don't make all the mistakes that everybody else did. So that's one of my advice to you today. So this is a typical disclaimer, basically saying the information that I've showed you today is for the purpose of education. All the interest rates and returns are different, and all projects end up differently, so you know, there's nothing regular about this stuff. So what's your RSP making? You know, like I said before, you're the only one that knows that. If you're satisfied with what you're making now, 1 to 3% or whatever it is, that's good. If you want to try and, or not try, but if you want to get ahead farther, build up your RSP quicker, because in the end everything else is going up, and as it is now most RSPs are pretty stagnant. You need to keep it going and building up as far as you can, or you're not going to have money to retire on when you want to. So you can contact me if you need anything, advice, training, whatever, joint venture partnering. Just contact me through here or see me after if you want to talk to me at all. So that's about it today. Thank you for coming, and I hope you picked up some points, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot.